My name is Natalie, and I've been married to my husband, Smith, for 20 years. We met through a friend. We are both in our mid-40s now and live with our daughter, Evelyn, our son, Watson, and Smith's mother, my mother-in-law. Before we got married, my husband seemed like a caring, dependable man who loved his mom, but after we married, it became clear that his mother really adored him. He often put her first, even over our family. When I tried to talk to him about how badly his mom treated me, he would just say, "My mom is right," and wouldn't listen to me. Life was easier when we lived apart from her, but when our son was born and my father-in-law passed away unexpectedly, my husband felt we should move in with his mom to take care of her. Once we moved in together, my mother-in-law's behavior toward me only got worse. Now, we had 2 kids to look after, plus my mother-in-law's living expenses added to our budget. My husband's salary wasn't enough to cover everything, so I had to start working as well. My mother-in-law didn't like this. She said a wife should stay at home and care for the house, not work outside, but I had no choice. I started working full-time, despite her objections. Naturally, I couldn't keep up with all the housework. Things got tough, and I asked my husband for help, but he would just lie on the sofa playing games on his smartphone whenever he was home. Instead of telling him to help, my mother-in-law would say, "Smith is tired from work. Natalie should take care of everything at home." To make matters worse, my mother-in-law wouldn't do anything for herself and left all the work to me. My husband didn't seem to mind and stopped helping around the house. In the end, while working full-time, I had to take care of all the housework and childcare for our family of 4, including my mother-in-law. On top of everything, my mother-in-law started demanding $500 a month from our household budget. Even though she didn't contribute anything, she didn't pay for any of her own expenses. Everything, from food to utility bills, came out of our budget. When I refused to give her the allowance, she argued that the household income was Smith's money, so I had no say in how it was spent. My husband agreed with her, saying, "It's my money, so I can give it to my mom if I want to." Neither of them understood why I had to work full-time, but if I ever missed something in the housework because of my busy schedule, my mother-in-law would criticize me for everything, from the meals I made to how I cleaned. She'd complain, "Take out again tonight? Poor kids." Or, "Natalie, your cleaning is really sloppy," pointing out every little mistake. Even when I asked for help with the kids, neither my husband nor my mother-in-law would lift a finger. One of her favorite lines was, "When I was young, I did all the housework and childcare myself." She would go on and on about how great she was as a wife and mother and how I wasn't measuring up. My husband would just listen and say nothing, making me feel even worse. I could have tolerated all of that, but what hurt the most was when my mother-in-law told my kids, "You two are really unfortunate. A careless person like your mother doesn't deserve to be a mom." I had never neglected my children, yet she had the nerve to say that. Thinking about how my kids must have felt hearing those words made me incredibly frustrated. Then one day, I found out my husband was having an affair. The same man who neglected his household duties because he was too busy with work and spent his days off lounging around had betrayed me. Even after I found out, he blamed me, saying, "You're always nagging me to help at home, so I never get a break." My mother-in-law joined in, saying, "This happened because you're not a good enough wife." They even told me, "If you have complaints, then leave." All the effort I had put into keeping our family together felt pointless. I felt like something inside me broke. As our discussions about our marriage went on, I became more and more exhausted. Finally, during one of our talks, I said, "Fine, I'll leave." My mother-in-law didn't get angry or surprised. She just laughed and said, "Oh, you're finally leaving. Well, it won't make a difference whether you're here or not." Even my husband was indifferent, saying, "With mom around, it's the same as if you were here. Do whatever you want." He probably planned to invite his affair partner over right away. They both seemed to think nothing would change if I left. All the work I had done for our family felt meaningless. I felt emptier than sad. It seemed like everything had been in vain. When the divorce was finalized, I asked my kids, "What will you do?" My teenage daughter and son replied, "We'll stay here. Grandma can handle things. Don't worry, we'll stay." My mother-in-law smiled smugly and said, "Of course, who would want to go with a mother who can't even manage housework or childcare? Don't worry, I'll take care of everything perfectly from now on." "Unlike you," my mother-in-law sneered. My husband just said, "I feel better leaving it to mom." In the end, I left the house without my kids. A few days later, as I was leaving, my mother-in-law taunted me, "Leaving your kids behind? You're the worst kind of wife." I left, feeling ridiculed by her. Months later, After I had finally stabilized my life, I got a call. It was from my mother-in-law. "Natalie, where are you?" she asked urgently. I had left my contact information for the sake of my kids, but I was still surprised to hear from her. I replied, "Why do you need to know? I have no connection to that house anymore." She didn't answer directly but said, "Our home is a mess since you left. Everything's gone downhill." I was stunned, unsure of how to respond. She continued, "Every weekend, I have to take Watson to his soccer matches. I even have to drive him and buy drinks for everyone when it's our turn. Plus, I have to wash his muddy uniforms. No one told me I'd have to polish soccer balls. And then there's driving Natalie to and from school, which is costing extra for her remedial classes. On top of that, Smith's income isn't enough to cover the mortgage, so now he's telling me to work. I have to get a part-time job, and when Smith gets home, he just lies on the sofa. He can't even put his dirty clothes in the laundry basket. I'm tired from working part-time, but he does nothing, saying he's tired. I have to do all the housework and laundry for the entire family by myself, and yet all she does is complain about the food I make. Natalie, please come back." My mother-in-law's voice was almost a scream, clearly worn out, but I responded calmly, "Weren't you and Smith the ones who told me to leave? Weren't you supposed to handle everything perfectly on your own, unlike me?" I could tell my mother-in-law was shocked on the other end of the phone. Her situation was exactly what I had been dealing with just a few months ago, working to support the family, handling all the housework and childcare alone, with a husband who wouldn't help. But unlike me, she didn't have anyone to complain about, so in a way, she was better off. Probably, she thought the woman my husband had an affair with would step in and take over, but that woman left him right after I moved out. Who would want to join a household with a mother-in-law and 2 kids from a previous marriage? They probably thought she would fill the gap I left, but their plan failed. Now, my mother-in-law was realizing the reality of the situation, but it was too late. This was exactly what my kids and I had anticipated. To be clear, Evelyn and Watson are very kind kids. They always offered to help, saying things like, "Mom, let me help or I can do this myself." They saw how their father and grandmother treated me and understood the situation. When I finally decided to leave, I talked to them first. They immediately took my side. "You've done enough, Mom, you should leave," they said. "Dad and Grandma are the ones at fault." They even offered to come with me, but then my daughter added, "Even if we leave, Dad and Grandma will never understand what you've been through." "Yeah, they probably feel relieved," my son added. "We can't let that happen. They should realize how hard it's been for you." So, they chose to stay behind, believing their father and grandmother would never understand my struggles if they left too. With that in mind, they decided to stay at home on their own. My mother-in-law had no idea about this and assumed. I knew the outcome would be clear. My mother-in-law could never replace me. I had always known my husband wasn't reliable, but without my help, they wouldn't be able to manage the house, take care of the kids, or even handle the finances, especially with just my husband's income. I had been the one doing all the housework, taking care of the kids, and working, while my husband and mother-in-law did nothing but complain and push everything onto me. Now they were finally feeling what I had been juggling all along. I regularly received updates from my kids about what was happening at home. They told me my husband's plan to marry his affair partner had fallen through. My mother-in-law had to get a part-time job because my income was gone, and she was struggling with housework and childcare. Meanwhile, my husband still didn't help at all. Everything fell on my mother-in-law's shoulders. My kids told me the house was a mess, and the meals were half-hearted. "They must realize now how hard you had it, Mom," they said. "They must finally understand who was holding the household together." Then my mother-in-law called again, asking me to come back. She sounded relieved, but I firmly replied, "No, I'm not coming back. What I've realized is that I can't trust you or Smith with my children. I'll be taking my daughter and son, they want that too." My mother-in-law sounded confused, but I added, "My kids have been watching all along." After that, my daughter, son, and I started a new life together. During the divorce proceedings, I made sure to claim compensation and child support through my lawyer. I took a lump sum to secure our future. My husband and mother-in-law had to give up their house because they fell behind on the mortgage after paying the lump sum for child support. Later, I found out that the reason my husband didn't remarry his affair partner was that she already had a family. He ended up being sued for compensation in another divorce case, which led to even more debt. Now, they're living in a cramped apartment, blaming each other for their problems. It's sad to see a family end up like that, but as for us, the 3 of us are living happily, supporting each other every step of the way.